Have you ever felt like you're running in circles, trying every solution out there, but somehow still ending up in the same place? You're not alone. We've all been there, right? And putting our hopes in self help books, in wellness programs, or just by sheer willpower, only to find ourselves right back where we started. It's so frustrating, it's exhausting, and exactly what we're here to tackle today. Welcome back, everyone. Today, week 2 of our 8-week series, Unlocking the Power of You, the Steps to Inner Freedom. I'm Debbie Sadify, and I am joined here by Deborah Blosnick. Hey, Deborah.
Hello.
Hey, last week we began this transformative journey by uncovering some of the hidden challenges that many of us face, the disconnection, the exhaustion, and the nagging feeling that something's missing from our lives. And today we're tackling a critical but often overlooked topic: why most solutions fail. We've all tried different methods to overcome these challenges, but the truth is, many of the solutions don't stick because they're missing something crucial. So let's explore why this happens and, more importantly, what we can do to make lasting change. Deb, over to you.
All right. I love that introduction to today's conversation because, yeah, that's what it's all about, right? The common pitfalls of conventional solutions, right? We keep trying to change things and um, we scratch the surface of the problem, right? Like we don't really end up diving to the deep challenge, the personal challenges that we're actually facing. So we're just scratching the surface and trying to change behaviors. So how many of you have ever picked up a book, tried a new workout routine or just a daily routine, or even signed up for a program and you either didn't finish it, never made the change, or maybe you made the changes and then life happened and you went back to the same old routine, right? Because it wasn't the deep kind of transformation that you're looking for. You're just trying to change the outer things. And you feel motivated for a little while, but then the motivation leaves you. And guess what? This is a really, really common experience. I, for one, have been there. Um, I'm pretty sure most of us can relate to that. And the reason that it's happening is for what I just said right there. We get solutions and we focus on a symptom, right? So, any area of your life. I'm 10 pounds overweight. I'm 20 pounds overweight. I'm 30 pounds overweight, right? I'm going to lose 10 pounds, right? And I try and I do it. And then I gain the 10 pounds and then I lose the 10 pounds and then I gain the 10 pounds or the 15 or the 20 and I lose the 10. And it's just this yo-yo, right? And dieting is like the easiest example to use because so many people can relate to it. But the reality is, it doesn't have to be dieting. It can be any area of your life that you start to make an improvement. But as you go along, you find yourself in that familiar groove, repeating the same story, the same song, and you didn't really move anywhere. So, what we're talking about today is transforming the underlying patterns and the beliefs that will ultimately lead to a transformed you. So instead of just focusing on, I'm going to change this one behavior and that's going to make everything great, we're going to transform ourselves in a new way so that we can have lasting change. And that being said, Debbie is going to talk to us a little bit about that inner work and how important it is.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah. It is such a key point. The truth is, real lasting transformation doesn't happen through willpower alone. In fact, willpower only lasts 20 minutes, that's it. If you were to be hanging on the side of a building, you can only hang on so long before you fall, and that's what willpower is like. It really goes deeper for us to look within ourselves and understand the true nature of our challenges. And this is what we call our inner work. And it's the foundation of any meaningful change. When it comes to making changes, I have more stories than I can count. I hate to say, I could probably say that just about the dieting alone, but I can include a lot more than that. I have made so many positive shifts in my life, things that I genuinely were excited about, but then somehow I feel like they were also putting me, although they were putting me on the right path, somewhere along the way, I'd find myself slipping back into my old habits. It was almost like a cycle, and I'd be all in, making good progress, feeling good, and then before I knew it, I was right back where I started. And the funny thing is that every time I geared up to make changes again, those same habits would show up. Those were still the things that I was supposed to do. And like old friends who would never leave. And it really was coming full circle. I get back on track, but I couldn't stick it out long enough for those changes to truly take root. And for me, I realized that a big part of the problem was fear, specifically the fear that I would call goop, or the good opinion of other people. I was so afraid of going against the grain of what other people around me thought, and I'd let their opinions pull me back into their world, into what was perceived as normal based on the world I was in. And there's a powerful analogy that someone told me about a bucket of crabs. And when one crab tries to escape from the bucket, all the others will pull that crab back in. And that's exactly how I felt. Every time I tried to break free, I would be pulled back in by the people around me, by their expectations, their judgments, and by their goop. And what I needed to do was to tackle that fear of goop, or the good opinion of others, to really find the courage to live my own authentic self without needing that constant affirmation from others. But there was another piece of the puzzle that I really needed to also keep in mind, and that's community. One other thing I realized is that while I was making changes on my own and I was okay doing that, sustaining them was a whole different story. And we really need a sense of belonging, a connection to like minded people who will support us, understand us, and uplift us, not pull us back into the old bucket. And that's why community is so important when we're looking to make lasting change. It's not just about taking the first step, it's about having a support system that keeps us moving forward, even when those old habits and fears are trying to pull us back. And I know that the work isn't that easy. It brings us back to maybe to things we'd been avoiding for years, even decades, but it's still incredibly liberating once we address those root causes and we can make those changes that we want, and we start to have those changes feeling natural, almost effortless. We're no longer fighting against ourselves. Instead, we are aligning with our true nature, and through our own, through my own self-reflection, I realized that my fear of the good opinion of other people actually stemmed from my childhood. And when had this realization, when I did the inner work, it was a game changer for me, helping me to understand that while I was falling back into old patterns, or why I was falling back into old patterns, and giving me the clarity I needed to break free and start living authentically for me. And it took me a long time to do that, Deb, a
Yeah.
long time. And so I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about why some of those surface level solutions don't stick.
Right. Well, I love what you share there, Debbie. The fear that we have and the goop, the opinion of other people. And sometimes I don't think we even realize that we have these limiting beliefs until we start to take a really hard look at why are we acting the way we are? Why do we have the habits that we have? Because I know, I'm in my mid 50s and I know people are like, oh, I'm too old. I am who I am. So, you can't change me. And like, oh, it's like a pet peeve of mine when people say that because I'm like, so you'd rather walk around cranky and feeling like unhappy than just decide not to. Like, you're just like, no, that's how I am. That's who I am. And I'm like, oh, okay, you go be cranky then. Like, and I still love on them and whatever because they're not bad people. They have really good hearts, you know. I know a lot of people with really good hearts, but they're just upset about things and they refuse to let it go. And that's, I don't know, it's kind of what we're talking about today, right? But so I love that you shared that, like that, just a little bit about goop and the fear and stuff, because, I'm sure I have new things to discover yet. I don't think we ever finally like reach, it's not a destination. None of this is a destination. It's a journey. But once you take it, it opens your eyes and then you can choose differently. And that's what I love about it the most. So, why don't these surface level solutions work? Well, as we just said, many of the times when we're addressing, like trying to change and we just end out stuck because we're looking at the surface. Oh, well, I don't like the way I look. Oh, I could lose 5 pounds. That'll be better, right? Instead of looking at the deeper um, issue of um, I'm snacking and because I'm bored, I'm snacking because I'm sad. Like somehow I'm sorry, my kitty is coming so much. She's so funny.
Time for the
Yeah.
kitty.
Oh my gosh, she's distracted me so badly. I'm sorry. Um, but we focus on the kind of the result or the outside thing, this thing that we can see, right? And we can say to ourselves, like, oh, I have to stop eating chips. I have to stop snacking so much, right? And again, exercise is just like the easiest relatable one. Um, but again, it's in any area of your life. Like I just said, some people are like, that's just who I am. You can't try to change me. But if they did try to change them, we'd be like, okay, today I'm just gonna smile more. And even if somebody makes me really angry, I'm just gonna be like, you have a great day, right? And that might help, right? A little bit. But if you could take a deeper look into why it's bothering you so much when the person upsets you, and I'm not talking like pause in the moment, like right there and like, oh, hold on there while you're angry at me. We want to come up with actionable steps, things that we can take and do a deep dive and looking at our behaviors. And um, I guess the best way to explain it would be like saying, trying to change who you are and something permanently in your life, but only scratching the surface of the behavior is like following a river, right? And you're like, oh, I wish this river would go a different way. So in order to change, I'm going to get a bucket. I'm going to start scooping the water away. How well is that going to go? Not very. And you might even get to turn your boat a little because of the scooping action, right? It might be like an oar kind of. But what would be more effective would be to travel upriver and change the path completely, create an entirely different path for the river to follow. So, um, some habits that we might look at are, like I said, overeating, procrastinating, negative self talk, right? And again, you're going to start strong. Oh, I'm not going to talk negative to myself. Every time I do, I'm going to stop, right? But what you really want to look at are those emotional drivers. You need comfort. You need to know you belong somewhere, and you need to have self-love, and you need to get over the fear of failure. And when you do that, instead of putting a Band-Aid on the wound, you heal the wounds and you change your life completely and you change your river. So instead of your river going over here, well, we've redirected it completely. So instead of scooping water trying to change the flow, I'm changing where the river is. So if we don't address the deeper issues, the changes won't happen. We won't transform. And ultimately, we'll just go back to our old habits. Now, for me, this is kind of interesting, right? Something that it's still embarrassing to talk about a little bit, but I don't have any goop anymore, like we're all humans, right? So I used to smoke, and I did that for way longer than I'd like to admit, probably 30 years. I was a smoker. I know it's a terrible habit. When I started, I just thought, I'm cool, right? Whatever. I don't even know why I did it, to be honest, when I first started. And it started with one a week. Habits start easy, right? It was one a week. By the time I was like, all right, this is enough. I at times had smoked 2 packs a day. Horrible habit, terrible for my health, right? And I tried to quit, and I had tried to quit, and I had tried to quit, and I could not. Oh my gosh. I could not quit though, like every time I try. And they do say that it is extremely addictive, and I get that. Like, yeah, I did it, right? But once I decided like to change, I'm just like, I'm not a smoker, right? Um, Everybody that knows me knows I did quit smoking. I do still vape, but for me, it's a step in the right direction. I'm still planning on quitting vaping very soon within the next couple months. But the point is this, I wasn't able to quit smoking until I decided that's not who I am. And I also changed like internally. I was just like the importance of not smoking became really strong. And I was like, why am I smoking? Why am I doing this? I hate everything about it. It smells bad. It's bad for my health, right? And if I want to calm down, there are better ways to relax than have a cigarette. So, for those of you out there thinking about it, give me a call. I'll talk you through it. But that's what we're talking about though. It's like you could just say it's bad for my health. I should quit smoking, but that's not enough. As crazy as that sounds, for some of us, it's just not enough to know it's not good for me. And besides smoking, there are lots of things people do that aren't good for them, but they do them anyways. But if you get to the deeper part of it, it's easier to let go of and change. So that's kind of my story with it. And I know I definitely appreciate being a cigarette-free person. So I invite you to join us if any of this resonates, whether it's your health, whether it's your relationships, whether it's your finances. The point is you want to really dig deep and make a long-lasting change instead of just a superficial, temporary change. So with that,
Yeah,
Debbie, go
I
ahead.
can relate to the smoking one because at some point in my life I was a smoker, not for 30 years, but I was a smoker, and yeah, that's changing your identity.
Yes.
From being a smoker to being a non-smoker is a big thing. And so it's a great story because I know there's a lot of people who can resonate with that story, and it's a tough one to make a change from. Just as a lot of things are, even a lot of the fear is a hard thing to change, and sometimes we don't even know that it's fear. It's things we have to really look deep to find and really reflect before we because we're just so used to it being there, we don't even realize what's causing the problems. And so that's why in our work that we do together, we take a holistic approach We're not interested in changing behaviors. We're interested in transforming the whole person. And that's the journey that we've been on, is to transform ourselves. And this means looking at every aspect of your life. It's your beliefs, your emotions, your relationships, right? I mean, you could say, what's your relationship with food, with your cigarettes, all of those things, and also your sense of purpose. For me, that was a big thing, to find my sense of purpose. I went so many years just being a mother and somebody with a career and not really knowing what lit me up. So these are the things that we, when we approach transformation in this way, the changes that we are making will be deep and lasting. And we're not just rearranging the furniture in the house, we're rebuilding the foundation. And that is where true empowerment comes. And it's the understanding that you have the power to change your life from the inside out. And
Absolutely.
imagine waking up every day feeling aligned with your true self, knowing that the actions that you're taking are in harmony with your deepest values and desires. And that's the kind of transformation that we're talking about. Not just forcing yourself to change, it's about naturally evolving into the person you were meant to be. And as you said, Deb, it's a journey. And we call it living in through me when we're flowing with the river of life, and you're start to understand that everything happens for a reason and it all benefits you in some way. And instead of struggling against the currents or trying to change where the river is flowing, you just flow with it and trust that life is guiding you exactly where you need to be. And this alignment of flow makes your transformation not just possible, but inevitable. That's the whole beauty of it. Deb, well, pass it over to you
Okay,
to
thank you.
talk about EMF foundations.
All right, thank you. So, yes, I'm sure that a lot of you can relate to some of the situations that Debbie and I are talking about here tonight, because I know it still resonates with some areas of my life, even though I've made a huge transformation over the last year myself. And so um, we want to talk about this deeper holistic approach. And I want to introduce you to something that Debbie just mentioned, the EMF Foundations Program. And that is a program that's designed to guide you through the inner work that we're talking about, and uncovering your beliefs and doubts and your patterns that you're running that keep you stuck. And it's going to guide you through this inner work. And it's not about a quick fix, it's about a long lasting, permanent change that you could make in your life in the areas that you've decided, um, and ones that you might discover need a change. Because I know that as I went through the program, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that I was doing that to myself. And that's what we're talking about. It's like this awakening. You start with some, how's that song go? You don't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And that comes to mind for me here, because even though you think you want one thing, and then you realize, wow, what I really needed was this other thing completely. And that was a change in a belief pattern, a pattern of behavior, a thought process, some self talk, some self love, and seeing them all in a different way. So, in the EMF Foundations program, it's a 6-week program where we will help you to uncover these shifts and the beliefs and the patterns that have been holding you back. And you'll learn powerful tools that you would not only use while you're in the program, but throughout your life journey, where you get to grow, continue to grow, and hopefully feel more empowered over the life that you're having and experiencing. And the best part of this is that you're not alone. You won't be alone. There's a supportive community of like minded people. And as we were saying, like, instead of being the crab in the bucket that's getting pulled out, you'll be more like I don't know if you guys have ever seen those military groups where they have to like climb this like 100-foot wall and they are like synchronized, like you jump on me, up the next guy, and the next two pull the next one. And I can't explain it all, but it is an amazing thing to watch. And that's where I like hanging out. I want to be pulled up and I want to lift others up. And so instead of being a crab in a bucket, I want to be part of a um, soaring team, leaping not just hurdles, but walls. So together we will create a space where real change can happen and you can transform yourself, not temporarily, but permanently, and be empowered to live the life that you enjoy and you can be proud of. So that
Yeah.
is kind of our invitation here.
And so as we wrap up today and our session that we've just been talking about, why a lot of changes don't work, we want to leave you with this thought. True transformation isn't about forcing yourself to change. It's really aligning with who you really are. And that alignment starts with doing the inner work, understanding those deep patterns that are shaping your life that you probably don't even realize are there. It's all part of your subconscious. And if today's conversation that we've just finishing up resonated with you, if you're ready to stop trying surface level solutions and try changing and creating deep, real, lasting change, then we invite you to join us for the EMF Foundations program. It is where the real work begins, and we'd love to have you on this journey with us.
Yes.
And I'll leave it to you to wrap up, Deb.
All right. So thank you everyone for being with us tonight. I really hope that some of this struck a chord with you. And remember that the power to transform yourself does lie within you. We all sometimes just need a little bit of guidance to the reflection that's necessary and some tools to tap into your power, do the inner work, and watch your life begin to shift in ways that you didn't even think were possible. So I thank everyone for being here. Um, and I hope you continue to follow this. And we do invite you to comment or reach out to either one of us with further questions for anything we said tonight. And we will see you next Wednesday,
Yeah, for week 3.
week 3.
All right. See you then. Bye now.